Everyone wants more money, but most of us weren't taught how to create an abundant life. That's where the Law of Attraction, Manifesting Success Stories show comes in. If you are ready to have more money, create more freedom, and experience more fun, turn the volume up. It's time to learn how to create the prosperity and life you have been dreaming of. Here's your host, Cassie Parks.
Hello, and welcome to this interview. I am your host, Cassie Parks, and today with me, I have Dave Worth for a special 3 episodes in his manifesting journey. So we're going to start out today getting to know Dave, talking about some ahas in the Law of Attraction, and you get to hear Dave for the next 2 episodes as well. So welcome, Dave.
Hey, thank you, Cassie.
Yeah, I'm super excited that you're here, and I think it's worth, sharing sort of inspiration. You were sort of inspired, or you were inspired to just say, hey, I'd like to do some interviews, right?
Yeah. It's like you said, it's that persistent voice that kept on coming back and like, hey, it's time to do, hey, it was like, it just kept on coming back and I was like, okay, I get it.
Yes. I love it. And at the same time, I was having whispers of like, man, I'd really like to interview Dave. I like to, and I got your email and we did a little bit of talking. And one of the things I said to you is like, this is the perfect moment where I'm like, oh yeah, we can just do a couple. You don't have to commit or anything. And like, this is the window that's perfect where I would say yes to that, right?
You're very kind to do this too. I really appreciate it.
I love doing it. It just, I always balance my schedule, and there was sort of an opening that I'd like to fill, and just, for multiple reasons, but it's really fun when you start trusting inspiration. And we're going to get more into that in the next episode. So I don't want to get too far down this track, but I do like to share some of the stories behind the podcast, especially when they're all Law of Attraction related, but so I just wanted to share that with listeners, that whisper, that trust, things that we're going to talk about in the next episode. Remember this story because you can refer back to it as, I always say inspiration works on both sides. Whatever you're creating and whoever you're being and whatever you're creating are working to come together in that moment. And that's part of following inspiration.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yes. Yay. All right. Well, I also love the inspired title. So I asked Dave, what would you title this moment in your journey of your manifesting success story if you had to title it? And he said Sophomore at Law of Attraction University, which I love. And I think you'll like this story, Dave, and then it dovetails into sort of where we are today. It was probably 7 or 8 years ago, I wrote a blog post, and I've been on the hunt for it because it was on a site that's no longer up recently. But I wrote a blog post like, what if you got a master's in yourself? What if you spent 5 years, and this is before I ever had a 5-year program. It was before the Future Self Workshop ever existed. But I really wrote this post that was, what if you gave yourself 5 years to grow? What if that was, we're all willing to invest in school and to learn something, or a lot of people are, not everybody, but, we'll go say, yeah, let me learn that. Let me get better. Let me get better at this
craft. Oh man, you haven't even heard the flubs I'm going to make yet. It's going to be epic.
I love it. I love it. That's why I love doing this podcast, and I love that we go with it. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah. But, we're willing to get better in a lot of things. And it's when we commit to getting better in ourselves that I think magic really happens. If we're willing to give ourselves the commitment that we give a university, right, then a ton of magic and amazingness can be created. So I really love that title. And it also ties in, recently, as more coaches are coming in, we're recording this April 19th, 2022. And as more coaches are coming in, we've renamed, it's not CassieParks.com anymore. It's Enchanted Life University, where you can go and get this degree in yourself and creating your life. So I thought that was really fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And wonderful. You get to like study and learn and keep moving forward and becoming a better, more balanced human being. It's wonderful.
Yay. I love that. And we're going to talk more about that. First, I want to hear, what is your magic in the world?
My magic is music. No doubt about it. I think, like, I can't say I was one of those kids who was like a prodigy when he was young, because I definitely wasn't. It just grew to be this immense love of my life. And I love learning about it. I love understanding it. I love engaging with it. And quite possibly the most amazing thing that about music is that it speaks on such an emotional level with a lot of people. If it's done in such a way where it really captures a moment, it could just make people just burst out into tears because they're just so happy hearing that music. It's just so appropriate for that moment. And that chase for like just the most appropriate music for whatever moment, if it's in film, if it's in the music that I'm creating just outside of film, or just testing music or learning music. I mean, that's the moment. That's what I live for, like those moments.
I love that. And you've had some of your music at some festivals recently. You want to share that and celebrate that?
Oh yeah, that was super fun. So my very closest friend and I are co-collaborators on some music that is very darkly cinematic and ambient and experimental, and we love doing it. It's just so much fun to like hang out with him and talk about where the music can go. And it's so interesting to see where he takes music, where because I wouldn't take it that way, and it just opens up the possibilities in the playing field in so many ways. Well, we finally put together a record of this music, and we were talking about, oh hey, we need to get a music video or two together. So we put one together, and I was like, what are we going to do with this thing? I have no idea. And so I was like, okay, well, there's got to be like film festivals out there that deal with music videos. Has to be, right?
Right.
And so I just submitted it to a bunch of them and got into two of them. It was super cool.
Yay! That is awesome. I love it. So good. All right. So let's change gears a little bit. What was your experience with the Law of Attraction prior to joining Manifest 10K?
I mean, frustrating. Understatement of the year, of the decade. It's just, if I do this for 3 hours a day, then if I'm always thinking about exactly what I want at every single second of the day, obviously it's going to come to me. It doesn't work. No, that was basically my experience, is trying out a bunch of different things and being like, oh, that doesn't work, I'm not doing that again. Oh, that doesn't work, I'm not doing that again. Very frustrating in a lot of ways. And what I really needed was a more like a mentor that, which I obviously found in you, who can point the way and point out those things that I was like, oh, you mean like doing 3 hours of scripting or 5 hours of scripting or thinking about what I want every single second of the day isn't a good thing? Okay. I needed somebody to guide me, and that's that it was very, very welcome when I finally started to pay after you manifest. It was like, oh yes, okay, cool. I just do this one simple assignment every day. This doesn't take very long, and then I go live my life. Exhale. Okay, good.
Yes, right. A huge exhale. Was it hard for you to, or was it easy or hard or in the middle to go, oh, okay, I only have to do 20 minutes a day? Like, did it take a little bit of trust in the process, or were you able to do that right away?
I was able to do it right away, and
Awesome.
literally within like the first month, I got the sense that I was like, oh, I'm just taking things too fast.
Mhm.
So I ended up taking the Pay After You Manifest program on the super slow route,
Mhm.
and was like, I'm just going to take my time with this. I don't want to rush it. I've done that before. I don't want to do it again. It hasn't worked.
Mhm.
So I was just all for it. I was like, okay, cool. This is all I got to worry about. Awesome. I'm in.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome. I love it. Easier, right?
Totally easy. Yeah.
Yes. Amazing. All right. So after growing and manifesting money, you said yes to the 5-year master's program. We call it that now.
Mhm.
Tell us why, or what led to that decision. How did you know that was the right next step?
I think you've talked about this before on your podcast, where you mentioned that everybody has their own way of hearing the whispers of inspiration.
Mhm.
And by that point, I started to get it like a lot clearer and understand like what you were talking about a lot clearer. And I can't tell you right now that there was a specific thing that kept on happening, um, other than just an urge to just jump in and be like, this is what I'm doing, period.
Yeah.
I love I love like committing to these kinds of programs and just being like, let's take this long term, let's see where this goes. I think that in music, most people could like just crush it on any instrument if they did like 5 minutes a day of practice, if they did it right.
Mhm.
And so I had no problem committing to that program because I mean, you lay it out so clearly. Oh, you just got to do this today. Simple, move on.
Mhm.
It's easy. It's so simple. And just coming from a practicing mindset where I'm like, okay, just micro practice gets me where I want to go. It was very simple. So everything worked out. It was the whisper of inspiration that was coming to me over and over again. Like, this is a good thing.
Yes.
Do it.
That's awesome. And I know I want to so tell, when you say, anyone can master an instrument in 5 minutes a day if they practice like right, if they're doing it right.
Yeah.
What does
Mhm.
like, can you give us an overview? I just like the comparisons, and I like to see this in the world, right? Because I think about this
Yeah.
a lot with athletes too.
Sure.
We get so caught up and we got to do 2 hours of practice, all these things. And I think if we were more intentional, that it would be
Mhm.
different. And so tell us what like right in music looks like, just an overview.
Okay, well, may I start by telling you what's wrong, like the
Yeah.
wrong way to, okay,
Yeah.
because this will make it really clear.
Yes.
In undergrad school, I practiced 8 hours a day, period. All right, that was on top of schoolwork, that was on top of all the other things. I didn't have a life.
Mhm.
In graduate school, it was a little bit better. It was 6 hours a day, but that's still a lot. That's a lot of practice, right? So when I look back on that time now as a teacher myself, I'm like, I could have gotten just as much done if I practiced correctly. And I could have done it in a quarter of the amount of time and had so much more fun during my, undergrad and graduate degrees.
Mhm.
I could have been hanging out with more people. I could have been doing more things, enjoying my life more. I don't regret it. I
Mhm.
do wish I structured it like a little bit better, but now I do. The trick, I believe, is to know exactly how to engage with material. In your case with LOA, you made it dead simple and totally black and white about how I should engage with the material.
Mhm.
It was simple. It was like, okay, cool. So basically, the I can't remember when you said this. I think it was last year. I think you said something like, you need to stop thinking about this or stop thinking about that. And it was like a series of hey, stop, let this go. Hey, let that go. It's not helping you. But the way that you have the assignments set up, like that was helping. And it pushed me, and it kept on pushing me in the right direction. I'm a big believer in micro practice in that way. It not only makes what I'm learning more approachable and easy and fun, I have room in my life to do so many more things. This is a studying LOA for me is like studying life and studying, my engagement with my life in so many ways. I don't want to just study it. I want to live it.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. And I so agree. That's amazing. And I feel like parents' minds are going to be blown away. And it's so interesting, everything is, I was watching a show last night where, the kid was, playing guitar and wanted to get into a school, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna have to practice like 8 hours a day. There's a better way.
Yes, there totally is.
Oh, I love it. Amazing. So fun.
Yeah.
That's amazing. All right. Well, let's this micro doing it and living at the same time has created an amazing manifested total for you in just about a year. So what is your manifested total that we're celebrating today?
WTF.
You want me to read it for you?
I don't even know how to say it out loud. It's I'm gonna try, but if I mess it up,
it'll be perfect.
Feel free to jump in. So crazy. I never would have expected this a year ago. I started Pay After We Manifest in last year, January, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so $404,026.18.
Yay! I love it. What I love most is that I have something you filled out a couple of weeks ago, and the total was $367,519.59.
So fun.
It is so fun. Oh, that's amazing. It is so fun. And like you said, you didn't expect that, and here it is. And clearly it keeps going up because I have a different number from just a few weeks ago. So that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah, it just keeps on going.
Yes. Well, let's talk about feelings and how they support that manifestation. What's your biggest aha, understanding, deepening of the law of attraction and manifesting work so far?
Oh, that's actually really easy. I had a breakthrough about a year ago, and it took me, it was such a breakthrough that it took me a year to understand it.
Mm-hmm.
The breakthrough was that the way that I'm feeling does not need to be explained by a story.
Yes.
I'm feeling, I don't know, lonely. I don't need to think about what caused that loneliness. It's just there.
Mm-hmm.
Simple. And once I realized that, I was like, oh, so this makes it a whole lot more simple, doesn't it?
Yes.
I remember walking my dog around the block, and I just steered into on this one road or a path or whatever, and I looked down and there was a puzzle piece on the ground, and it was just I looked at it, it was like, oh, that's mine. That's totally mine, because it was the missing piece. It was just yes, this is so great,
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And so, if you're not feeling good, you can just feel it, right?
Absolutely. And I can't tell you how grateful I am that there were so many times when I would talk during the Enchanted Circle and you were just like, just feel your feelings. Just feel your feelings. Just, Dave, feel your feelings,
Yeah.
That was it. I can't tell you how appreciative I am of that. The words can't do it justice. There's so much more peace in my life just literally being able to just feel an emotion, let it do its thing. I have a really peaceful home. I have a really peaceful neighborhood. It's easy for me to just open up and be like, this is it. This is how I'm feeling. It might be good, might be bad. It is just what I'm feeling. I'm not putting anything on top of it. And it kind of goes its own way. And that's huge. That's like night and day difference from a year ago.
Yes. And normally we don't do this, but for the purpose, and you're far enough past it, and for the purposes of supporting listeners that are listening to this, what would you do a year ago? You would dig into the story, right?
Oh, totally. I'd be like, oh, it's time to go smoke a cigar and think about this, drink like 5 cups of coffee and think my way out of it. Like, that's so silly. Like, I look at that, I'm like, ooh, cigars and coffee are meant for enjoyment, not for a purpose. Thank you very much,
Yes, I agree. Yes.
Don't be surprised, Cassie, if one day I'd be like, Cassie, maybe we ought to smoke a cigar together.
Definitely. I'm already planning on that. Don't that's already
amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
I love it. Absolutely. Very cool. So as we wrap up this interview, and Dave will be back next week, and we're going to talk about inspiration and some other things and ways of using the law of attraction. But we just shared. So I like this because I like to support if there's other men out there that are like, ooh, she mostly interviews women. So there must only be women in the Enchanted Circle or an Enchanted Life University. What is your experience with there are few men? I would love to have more men, but what is that experience like to be a man in what is a room generally full of women?
Right. Yeah, sure. At first, I was very nervous. You can probably hear it on the Enchanted Circle recordings from more than a year ago. After a while, I started to see that everybody faced the same stuff. It doesn't really matter what a physical makeup is, what pronouns a person chooses. It doesn't matter at all, because the same we're all engaging with the same thing, the question of LOA, of law of attraction. And beyond that, I cheer so much for every single person in that group when they have something that they're sharing that just makes me feel good. I mean, it just makes me feel so good. I'm kind of tearing up about it, like just talking about it. But I love it when I hear people do really well. It's just so fun. It feels so good, and I'm like, yes, this person, whereas before this person may have been struggling with something, now this person is like totally crushing it. And that change, I imagine that must be really addicting as a coach to see people go through that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite things.
Yeah. I don't think it's of course, if there was a man who was looking at this and looking into working with you, I would suggest being open to the fact that everybody's facing the same issues.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. Thank you for being open and sharing that, and for sharing this moment in your manifesting journey with us. We will be back with Dave next week. So make sure to come back and check out what else is awesome in his life, what else he's manifesting. It's good stuff. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Cassie.
Thank you for joining us on the Law of Attraction Manifesting Success Stories show. To learn how to identify your current money story, go to identifyyourmoneystory.com.